I never thought this would happen to me. My girlfriend Sarah and my best friend Mark. The two people I trusted most in the world. We were inseparable, the three of us, or so I thought. The betrayal was like a movie scene, one you never think you'll star in. I found out through a mutual friend who could unbear to see me played for a fool any longer. They showed me texts, photos. The evidence was undeniable and my world just shattered. The initial shock was a physical blow. Couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Then came the anger, a white-hot rage that consumed everything. I wanted to scream, to break things, to confront them, and demand an answer to the one question burning in my mind. Why? But as the initial storm of emotion passed, something else took its place. A cold, chilling clarity. I realized that a screaming match wouldn't fix anything, wouldn't mend my broken heart or erase their betrayal. It would only give them the satisfaction of seeing me broken, and I refused to give them that. So, I did nothing. I went completely silent. I blocked Sarah's number after one final, simple text. We're done. I know everything. To Mark, I sent nothing at all. I just vanished from their lives. They tried to reach out, of course. A flood of calls, texts, voicemails, filled with fake concern and desperate apologies. I ignored them all. My silence was a wall they couldn't penetrate, and it drove them crazy. I didn't know what I was going to do, and that uncertainty was the first seed of their own destruction. I knew them both so well. I knew their weaknesses, their insecurities, their desires. Sarah craved attention and financial security. She always complained about her low-paying job and dreamed of a life of luxury she felt she deserved. Mark, on the other hand, was ambitious, but deeply insecure. He needed constant validation to feel like he was the smartest, most successful person in the room. Always had a chip on his shoulder about my own successes. Saw me as competition, even when I saw him as a brother. Their affair wasn't about love. For Sarah, Mark was a step up, or so she thought. He had a better job than me and wasn't shy about flashing his money. For Mark, sleeping with Sarah was the ultimate victory over me. It was a way to prove he was better, to take what was mine. They weren't a team. We're two selfish individuals using each other. I knew that foundation of selfishness was as stable as a house of cards. All it needed was a little push. So I started pulling the strings from the shadows. I was a ghost in their lives, manipulating events without ever showing my face. I had a few friends who were loyal to me, friends who were disgusted by what Sarah and Mark had done. They became my eyes and ears. Through them, I learned that Mark had promised Sarah the world. He was going to help her start her own business, take her on lavish trips, buy her a new car. Classic Mark, making promises he couldn't keep to feed his ego. My first move was subtle. I knew Mark was up for a major promotion at his company, a position that came with a significant raise he was banking on to fund his promises to Sarah. He was competing against one other colleague. I happened to know this colleague from a professional networking group. So, I accidentally forwarded him an old email chain from Mark. It wasn't anything scandalous. Just Mark complaining about our boss and making arrogant comments about his own abilities. It was enough to paint a picture of him as unprofessional and arrogant. I just planted the seed of doubt. A few weeks later, I heard the news through the grapevine. Mark didn't get the promotion. His colleague did. The financial strain started to show. Mark had to backtrack on his big promises to Sarah. No fancy car, no big investment in her business idea. My friends told me the argument started almost immediately. Sarah accused him of lying to her, of not being the big shot he pretended to be. Mark, his ego bruised from losing the promotion, became defensive and resentful. He felt she was only with him for his money, which of course she was. The cracks were beginning to show. Next, I targeted Sarah's social world. She loved being the center of attention, the queen bee of her friend group. I knew she had told everyone a twisted version of our breakup, painting me as the bad guy. So I decided to give them the truth. I didn't spread rumors. That's not my style. I simply gave one of our mutual, most gossipy friends the full, uncensored text history between Sarah and Mark. The evidence was irrefutable. I just lit the fuse and stood back. The explosion was magnificent. Her friends, seeing the raw proof of her betrayal and lies, turned on her. She was ostracized, labeled a backstabber. The social status she cherished so much evaporated overnight. Suddenly, the woman who lived for admiration was completely alone. with no one to impress but a boyfriend who was growing more and more annoyed with her demands. The pressure on their relationship became immense. Without the promotion, Mark's finances were tight. Without her social circle, Sarah was lonely and needy, clinging to Mark for the validation she used to get from others. They were trapped on a sinking ship of their own making. He resented her for the financial pressure. She resented him for failing to deliver the lifestyle he promised. Their fights became legendary among the few people still talking to them. The final act was a masterpiece of their own creation. Didn't even have to do anything. Stressed and desperate, Mark made a risky, borderline unethical move at work to try and recoup his losses and impress his bosses. It backfired spectacularly. I don't know the exact details, but it was serious enough that he wasn't just fired. He was facing potential legal trouble. His career was in shambles. That was the final nail in the coffin for Sarah. The man she left me for, the upgrade, was now unemployed and facing a lawsuit. The life of luxury she envisioned had turned into a nightmare of debt and disgrace. She left him. No dramatic goodbye, she just packed her bags and disappeared, leaving him to face the fallout alone. The last I heard, Mark had to move back in with his parents, completely broke and professionally ruined. Sarah is working a dead-end job in a different city, trying to rebuild a life from the ashes of her own making. They didn't just break up, they annihilated each other's lives. They were drawn together by their worst traits: greed, ego, and selfishness. In the end, those same traits tore them apart. Some might call what I did revenge, but I don't see it that way. I never lied. I never fabricated anything. I simply held up a mirror and let them see their true selves. I removed myself from the equation and let their own toxic natures do the rest. They built their own prison, and I just quietly locked the door and walked away. And you know what? My life has never been better. I learned who my true friends are, and I learned that sometimes the best thing you can do is step back and let karma handle the rest. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've been through something similar, know that you're not alone and that the best revenge is living a happy, successful life. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more content. See you next time.